Dear friends, welcome to the next video on Introduction to Artificial Intelligence. So in our last video, we have been talking about why we need to go for AI, what is the background associated with it, and what can be the possible definition for AI. So we mentioned about a particular block which is used for its definition, which involves two main processes. First one being um, there are two main processes, first one being the thought processes and reasoning, okay, and the second one being the behavior. Also we mentioned about the human performance related approach, as well as the rationalist or rationality based approach, right? So let us begin with the discussion about this particular block. Okay, so if we look into this block, so this block basically the first two blocks, so let me write it here: 1, 2, 3 and 4. So the first two block, that is block number 1 and block number 3, they are representing the thought processes and reasoning. Okay, so these are basically, both of them are representing the thought process or reasoning, and the bottom two blocks, they are basically representing let me rub this off first. Okay, so the bottom two block, they are representing the behavior approach. So these two, the bottom two, basically they will be representing the behavior based approach. And we also mentioned that these two blocks, they will be representing the human performance based approach, whereas block number 3 and 4 will be representing the rationalist approach. That means how rational or how ideal the concept of intelligence could be. Okay, now talking about the rationalist approach, a system is considered rational if it does the right thing given what it knows. Okay, so if you look at these blocks, right, so systems that think like human, systems that act like human, systems that think rationally, and systems that act rationally. Okay, so if we consider the whole definition of AI, it can be scattered along these 4 dimensions. Okay, so we call a system to be an artificial intelligence system if that system can think like human, it can act like human, it can think rationally, and it can act rationally. See, in order to further elaborate this, let us see the different definitions given by different renowned people in this particular domain. So the first one we will talk about is systems which think like human. So Hodgland in 1985, he says that it is the exciting new effort to make computers think. So as already mentioned, the first two blocks, upper two blocks, it is representing about the thought process or reasoning, and it has got nothing to do with behavior or performance. Okay, so it is, as per Hodgland, he says that if you can make a computer think, or make a machine with a mind, then we can call it as an artificially intelligent system or artificially intelligent computer. Okay, now Bellman in 1978 came up with a different definition, which states that it is the automation of activities which we associate with human thinking activities such as decision making, problem solving, learning, etc. So basically, Bellman said that if we can somehow convert the human thought process, which involves decision making, problem solving, and learning, in an automated manner, or in a automation of the automate in an auto let's say in an automated manner, and we can associate it with a man-made machine, then we can call that man-made machine to have acquired human intelligence, and we can call it an AI based machine. Okay, now talking about the rationalist approach, right? So in the rationalist approach, basically not yes, it's the rationalist approach, and also which involves the thought process or reasoning. So this approach, it is there, Charnack and McDermott in 1985 states that it is the study of mental faculties through the use of computational models. So we have an established model, we have an established mathematical formula, and with the help of that formula we will be able to study the mental faculty related to, or the mentality or the logic behind any particular device or a particular system. Okay, also Winston in 1992, he says that the study of computations that make it possible to perceive, reason and act. So these words, computations, computational models, so these belongs to the rationalist approach. Okay, so that means we are making use of certain established models, and based on these models we are able to generate a thought process, okay, which will be enhancing the intelligence of a machine and will be making it as an AI based machine. Okay, the third block of this particular definition, which says that system that act like humans. So up till now, systems that think like humans, systems that think rationally, so these two we were concentrating on the thought processes. That means it had nothing to do with activities or performance, it simply has to do with the thinking process. Now if we are talking about systems which act like human and systems which act rationally, so this act word itself, it says that it has something to do with the behavior, so hence the behavior oriented dimension is focused here. Okay, so Kurzweil and Rich and Knight, they mention that if we can create a machine which would perform the functions that require intelligence when performed by the people, or the study of how to make computers do things at which at the moment people are better, then we can say that machine to be an AI based machine. That means we are trying to imitate, or the machines are trying to imitate the human behavior. Okay, so that if a machine can imitate the human behavior in the right way, then we can call that machine to be an AI based machine. On the other hand, in the rationalist approach, Skalkoff in 1990 as well as Luger and Subberfield in 1993, they mentioned that it is the field of study that seeks to explain and emulate intelligent behavior in terms of computational processes. So here also, although it is related to behavior, okay, still there is a use of already established models. Okay, and it's the, and also Stubblefield and Luger, they says that it is the branch of computer science that is concerned with automation of intelligent behavior. So here also it is concentrating on behavior but with the help of computational models. Okay, now you have to understand that this is the human centric approach and this is the rationalist approach. Okay, so on the left we have the human centric approach and on the right we have the rationalist approach. And a human centered approach, it must be supported with empirical science, some hypothesis, okay, and experimental proofs. Empirical science, some hypothesis with experimental proofs. So it has to be proved using experiments. However, the rationalist approach demands no such kind. It simply is involved with the combination of mathematics and engineering. So we use different mathematical model. So mathematics and engineering is basically the food for this rationalist approach. So I believe this much is clear for the definition. So we call a system to be an AI based system if that system can think like a human, act like a human, think rationally and act rationally. Okay, so first of all we will be talking about each of the block in details and what are the backgrounds behind each of these blocks. Okay, so that we will be discussing it in my next video. Thank you.